Hey everybody, welcome back. David Eon and the absolutely lovely Miss Lady Pop Hunter here with, I guess, a movie discussion.
A movie review.
Of the Batman,
yeah.
Which is the new Batman, red Batman, not blue Batman. And that is an important point. Usually there's a blue lighting cast.
Oh, okay.
And it's, I notice it very red imagery in the film. Mm-hmm. And, without any spoilers, we're not going to try to reveal plot or storyline, but just talk about our general feel of the film. And, you can see for yourself, because everybody's going to have a different concept, a different opinion of how things go. First of all, I wanted to point out that AMC is using this as an opportunity to introduce variant pricing into the U.S. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend going to a different theater and not encouraging AMC to do this. It's something that's done in Europe, mm-hmm. where the price of your ticket, it's like going to a concert. It's based on how long the film is and where you're sitting, as opposed to just buying a ticket and picking a seat, which is also a new concept, because when we were kids, you didn't pick a seat, man. You just got in there as quick as you could.
Well, before COVID, you didn't pick seats. No, you didn't. Like a little bit before COVID, like in 2020, they started picking seats. And it used to be you just go to the movies and sit down. Yeah. Now they got you picking your seats, but you still pretty much sit where you want. Yeah, and
paying a basic ticket price. Mm-hmm. But this is a variant pricing. You're gonna have prices all over the place. It's like going to the ball game. Okay. And so we're just trying to. I'd like to see that discouraged for as long as possible. Mm-hmm. I have seen some people picking on the film already, and I always warn people, don't listen to the critics. You got to see it for yourself. You don't even have to take our word for what we're talking about.
Because everybody got their opinion about things. Some people really like a film, and then you look at it and you say, this is awful.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Or something you might really like, and you're like, why don't people like this? You got your own opinion, your own perspective on things, your own expectations. And that's with everything. Yeah. So we're just here to give a small review, give you a little bit about what we saw in the film, mm-hmm. and hopefully it'll say, okay, let me go see for myself. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. And then you can chime in and say, oh, okay, I got what you're saying, but I saw this, or you're totally off, or something like that.
Yeah, and do come back and comment. Mm-hmm. Two complaints that I'm going to nail real quick, mm-hmm. that I'm seeing on the Facebook groups whining about the film. Complaint number one, that Riddler's backstory is never explained.
They explained
You aren't paying attention. Yeah. Because he literally tells Batman essentially who he is.
Yeah, who he is and where he came from. And if they missed that, maybe they got up and took a bathroom break, or they were checking their phone. Yeah. Because it was pretty plain. I mean, they showed pictures and everything. Yeah, he told you exactly who he was.
Oh, I get it now. Now this is why he's doing this.
This is why he's angry. And one thing I do like about the Batman characters, the villains, they always have a point to their madness, and to their anger, and you can understand them. Yeah. Now with the Riddler on this one, I understood where he was coming from. I just couldn't really see why he wanted to take it out on the Batman. But I'll just leave it at that.
Well, he wasn't really, but not the Batman, the persona per se.
Well, Bruce Wayne. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. Well, Bruce Wayne. I don't know why he wanted to take things out on Bruce Wayne, because he said exactly what his problem was and who his gripe was with, mm-hmm. but he wanted to take it out on Bruce Wayne. So that part, he could have said, we're in this together. I understand who you are, mm-hmm. Which he did. But he still wanted to. It
was a misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. It was a misunderstanding. But that's where his research failed him, mm-hmm. The Riddler, because there was a misunderstanding with Bruce Wayne, the tie-in. The other one is that, Batman falls in love with Catwoman in like 2 minutes. No, he did not. I just want to please pay closer attention to the relationship. He did not fall in love with her. He's portrayed as a very lonely person, very lonely and depressed. There's there might be a bit of an infatuation. Here's an attractive, interesting woman. I want to see what she's about, but not like I fell in love. And show me a Batman where that didn't happen.
Yeah,
I mean, every freaking Catwoman incarnation, they have Batman falling all over her. That did not happen. I don't think so.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't.
He needed her for something. And curious about her backstory because she's, you know, at some point she spills her guts.
Yeah.
And he's like, he identifies with it. But as far as like, oh, I'm his head over heels in love, like Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer kind of thing.
Or with even Christian Bale, he quit being the Batman and they went away together.
Yeah.
And started a life together.
And then you're going to complain. Okay.
Yeah. But now that Catwoman, the one in the Batman, the new film, actually had a point. Her character had a point. It made sense. It wasn't an annoying character because Michelle Pfeiffer was annoying, and I think it was Natalie Portman or whoever played in the Christian Bale Batman. Yeah, she was annoying, and they didn't really have a point.
And then God help me, the Gotham Catwoman from the TV show. Oh man, I stopped watching it because that character was so aggravating.
But this Catwoman and in this film actually had a point because the plot that was going on, Batman actually needed her because she had information and she was able to get information based on her job. So he used her for that and she was helpful. She did what he asked her to do. So it tied in well there. It was like, okay, we need each other. Let's work together to solve this, to get this done. Yeah. It wasn't like I'm a cat burglar running around all over town and you're chasing after
doing a million flips and 8-inch stilettos.
And her outfit was more realistic. She didn't have on like 10-inch heels. Yeah. I mean, she had on a cat suit, but her shoes were flat.
Yeah, it was more like a cycling suit.
Yeah, because she rode a motorcycle. So that made sense, and that made it not annoying.
I haven't been able to tolerate a Catwoman incarnation since like Judy Newmar and Eartha Kitt. So it's for me, I was like, even going in, I was like, oh god, Catwoman's in this, please don't screw it up. And they didn't do a bad job with her incarnation.
Yeah, she fit into the storyline really well. It wasn't Catwoman heavy because if you look at the trailers, and then even the posters, because they got a poster. They make
sure you know she's in there.
Yeah, and they even got a poster with just her on it. And in the trailers, she's in there very heavy. But when you look at the movie, she wasn't like dominating the movie. She was like, a good companion, a co-star, I guess you would call it. So that went well. Another thing I know David was concerned about was that there were a lot of villains. And I don't really see Catwoman as a villain.
Yeah, DC has a habit of cramming people in there or overlapping too many storylines. Like they overlapped a lot of storylines when they did Batman versus Superman, and I think it took a lot away from it. Or they try to slam a bunch of characters in there, and it just takes too much away. It takes away from character development. And the way that they did it in this, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't so bad where it's just like, okay, another one and another villain and another villain. No. Slow down. You didn't get that sense.
They focused on one villain, and that was the Riddler. Yeah, the Penguin was in there. Was in it. But he wasn't a main villain. He wasn't even a villain in the movie. He was just
in a manner of speaking.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of the Penguin and you think of the Penguin as a villain and the things he's done in other movies, he wasn't that. Yeah. He wasn't that at all. And I never really saw Catwoman as a villain. Yeah, she steals and everything, but when you look at her in other movies,
that's a golden age villain. Yeah, basically, where Catwoman is a thief.
Yeah, she's a cat burglar. Yeah. But in this movie, even Michelle Pfeiffer, she wasn't really like a villain per se. When you compare him to like the Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin and Two-Face and all of that. She doesn't even in that category, I don't think. And I may be wrong, but to me, she's not even nowhere near that category. She's just like a little wannabe something, always was just in the way. But in this one, again, she complimented really well, and she was useful, so I didn't see her as a villain. The Penguin wasn't really like the Penguin when you see him in other
incarnations.
Incarnations.
Yeah, it's not a Danny DeVito Penguin.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, he wasn't that.
The only thing that I thought was stood out, and I get the point of the actor who played the Penguin. What was his name?
Colin Farrell. Wow, they did a makeup
you
job.
Couldn't tell who
you
he
could
was.
not tell. And I remember him in an interview saying, his son, I guess he got a little kid, saw him in the makeup and was terrified. Because if you saw a picture of him and saw a picture of the Penguin, you could not figure out that was him at all.
He had an argument with the, I guess, the producers, because he was like, the Penguin always has a cigar or cigarillo or something. I want a cigar, and DC wouldn't allow it because they didn't want to send the wrong message by having people smoking in the film. This is a very violent film, and he's like, you're tearing people up in this movie, but you don't want me to have a cigar. Yeah, and I get his point, and it would have been a nice little Easter egg nod to the classic Penguin, I suppose. He made it work without it. He did a really good job portraying the character, I thought. Another complaint that people had was there's no non-stop action. Does there have to be?
No.
They were actually telling a story. Was there non-stop action in the Joker? People loved it.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of action in the Joker.
The Joker was one of the best DC films that have been done.
Yeah, and this one is like second.
Yeah, it's
to me, it's
very dark.
Second. It's very up there. And this Batman is violent.
Yeah.
He's angry, and this character, that the guy, what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name right now.
Farrell?
No, the guy that's playing Batman.
Okay.
Anyway, he was the one in Twilight, and he's real depressed looking. Now, he's not a good looking guy at all. He's not attractive. In the past Batmans, there were attractive guys.
Because that's the common Bruce Wayne archetype. Millionaire, handsome playboy, and then he turns into the Dark Knight.
So he wasn't an attractive guy, but he was very dark. He made you feel the anger, the pain, the loneliness, the sadness.
Yeah.
He really made you feel that. He looked it.
This is a very depressed, exhausted, worn out Bruce Wayne. It makes me makes me think of Matt Murdock from the Netflix Daredevil.
Oh, God, yeah.
Where he takes the costume off and he's still in costume because he's so exhausted, so worn out. He's not sleeping. He looks like he just fell down a flight of stairs, and the whole weight of the world's on him. And that's the kind of the impression you get from this Bruce Wayne rendition. And he's not like he's not millionaire playboy Bruce Wayne with paparazzi chasing him around. He shows up and people are like, "Is that Bruce? Where the hell's he been?"
Yeah, he's a recluse. He's not out chasing the ladies and jet setting and all of this.
Yeah.
He's a recluse. He stays to himself. He stays inside. He stays in the shadows. And he even says that. And like David said, when he goes out, everybody's just like shocked. And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And they're like, yeah, you're Bruce Wayne.
Where the hell have you been?
Yeah, we never see you. And that made it, that was a different take. And I actually liked that take on it. He stayed to himself. The one thing, it had kind of bothered me at the beginning, he was very rude to Alfred. He kind of snapped at him, "You're not my daddy," that kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But that's explained later in the film.
It is explained in the film, and they had their little moment, and their little, "Okay, I'm sorry," without saying it.
Yeah.
"I'm sorry." Alfred was like, "I understand. You were angry. Now you know the whole story." And they came to terms, And you really had to watch the film because a lot of things were said not with words.
Yeah.
A lot of things were said through emotion, through body language, through
tone
movement.
of voice.
Yeah.
It is telling a story.
Yeah. So
again, like the Joker, this is not a comic book rendition Batman, because all the other ones really kind of are. And people complained about that too, when complained about the Keaton Batman, the Val Kilmer Batman, George Clooney Batman, and stuff like that. And it's like, have you read the stuff? Because a lot of it had a very Bronze or Silver Age feel to it, and this does not.
Yeah. So, and I also like that there was really no agenda. Now, they did shoehorn in.
Yeah.
For like a minute. It wasn't even a minute. It was in a conversation between... Something
that was said.
Yeah.
And we both had our little cringe moment.
Yeah.
Like,
it was like,
please
okay.
don't go in this
and
direction.
They didn't. They said one thing and that was it.
Yeah.
And so, but it was no agenda. Nothing political. No transgender. No... Nothing political that you normally see nowadays. We had none of that. We had one thing... like I said, we're not going to spoil it by telling you.
Little eye roller moment.
Yeah, but it was in conversation.
Yeah.
And it was just something that was said and it was over with. That whole scene, that whole thing was over with. Another thing that I did like about the movie was the music.
Yeah,
they played
the incidental
2 songs.
Music.
They played 2 songs, a Nirvana song and one other.
You sure they weren't both Nirvana?
Okay, well, maybe one song. I know the Nirvana song. But the music, the incidental music was intense, but it wasn't loud.
Yeah, that's a big problem I have, especially in modern films. The music is just blaring, and a lot of times I cannot hear the dialogue. I can't, I'm like, what the hell are they saying? You can hear clearly what everybody is saying. The incidental music falls behind, as it should.
Yeah, and you almost got to listen for it.
Cause I like how, like in The Shining or 2001: A Space Odyssey, where when there is music, it's very silent and it's just back there, and it plays into the scene instead of just blasting at you. Everything seems to be on blast nowadays, and it's like, okay, calm it down a little bit. I'm trying to pay attention to what they're saying or what they're doing. And again, I wanted to emphasize, this is a very violent Batman.
Is.
He is. You almost got a Thomas Wayne. You get the sense that he's holding back from barely just beating people to death.
Yeah, he had 2 moments where he almost broke down. Now, and he did hold Catwoman.
Yeah, so much anger.
Yeah, he did hold Catwoman back from killing anyone. He's still on the don't kill. You don't want to cross that line. But he is
barely.
He's at the line. He's towing the line. He's just so angry, so frustrated, and all of that. You can see it coming.
It comes out in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, it came out like twice. And the second time, he was stopped.
Yeah. But aside from that, I think overall, they told a decent story.
Yeah.
It was the dialogue was good. The interaction was not. It wasn't a primitive dialogue. It was well written.
It wasn't very vulgar. They had a couple of curse words here and there sprinkled in, but it wasn't heavy.
Yeah, and I don't like that either when it's just nonstop vulgarity. Because people, in my experience, I know there are people that talk like that, where every other word is a cuss word. Not very many people actually talk like that in real life, and Hollywood doesn't seem to understand that.
I don't know. I've met a lot of people that talk like that for real.
I haven't. I've met a couple, but, I don't hear that in common conversation except on TV. Mostly. I've only ever seen that in television and movies, and I'm like, who talks like this all the time? And I have met a couple of people that do, but not that often that you would think watching modern films like a Leonardo DiCaprio, just
Samuel Jackson,
and where it just flows constantly. And I don't like hearing that, but people do slip. I slip sometimes, and I can see that where, somebody just slips and says a word because they're like, holy, whatever.
And in this movie, it's sprinkled in very lightly, and you don't really even pick up on it too much. It's not heavy. So that made it pretty good. Overall, I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. Was he the best Batman? I don't know. He's up there.
And it's hard to compare. It's hard to compare because everybody's portrayal, it was radically different.
Yeah, and it's like it's like the Joker. If you watch our other other videos, we talked about the Joker. You can't really and when I say the Joker, I'm only talking about 3. Oh God, no, I can't think. Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, and Jack Nicholson. All of them were great Jokers. All of them, I think, were the best because they played the Joker in totally, radically different ways. They played
their Joker differently. Yeah. And the same thing goes for Batman. If you're gonna go as far back as Adam West, he did his Batman. Yeah. Michael Keaton did his Batman. For the storyline that it fit into, it was very, very different. Clooney, I don't think did a good Batman, but he was angry through the whole film because he still talks about it to this day that Schwarzenegger made twice as much as him. He can't get over it. So he didn't give a good portrayal. Plus, it was really goofy film anyway. But Christian Bale did his Batman, and that's what you're looking at. Yeah, this guy did a very good job of being dark, being depressed, being on the edge. And that I would really like to see him come back. They made some hints at the end. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Yeah. But they made some hints. You'll be seeing him again. And I hope that they go through with it. And I hope this guy sticks with it. I cannot think of his name, but I hope he sticks with it and he does more Batmans the exact way he did it in this movie because I think they did a great job. I hope they don't change the storyline. Well, when I say the storyline, I mean I hope they don't make it more fanciful, more comic bookish. I hope they leave it the way it is. Just tell a story. Book rendition. Yeah. A couple other points is that this is not a high-tech Batman. He has his suit and he has a handful of gimmicks, but there's not a crap ton of bat gimmicks. There's not a massive bat cave full of computers and all of that. There's no bat jet, things like that.
But no, it wasn't. The Batmobile wasn't the high-tech Batmobile that you always get. Yeah, it was basically an armored vehicle. The only high-tech thing he had was these contact lenses that were like a video camera. That's it. That's all he had. In his Batcave, he had like a computer and a TV screen.
Yeah, it wasn't even a Batcave, but without revealing too much. But it was not like a high-tech, like super rich. I've got my bat space shuttle. I have satellites in orbit and all of that kind of rendition. You did not see that.
Yeah, this version was very good. I think it was well done. I think DC did a great job, and I hope they stick to this style of movie making, especially when they get to certain characters. Now, in the trailers, they showed 2 other DC movies coming out, Black Adam and Aquaman. They already did an Aquaman. That's not dark. Black Adam, I don't see Dwayne Johnson as being that kind of guy. So, but those movies can still be really good. Like Aquaman, I thought that was a good movie.
Plus, Black Adam should tie in with Shazam. And then Shazam, I think they botched. It started off all right, but then they just crammed too much into the end. But that's a mistake DC often makes. But if they had kept the flow nice and even, it would have been better. But the ending, I'm like, what are you doing? Everything was fine.
But hopefully they stick to this style with the Joker. If they do another Joker, if they do another Batman, I hope they stick to this style because I think they really got something.
And there you go. Hopefully that answered some questions without revealing anything.
Yeah, without revealing too much.
We're not trying to give away the story or too much of the plot, or spoil it for anybody.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to go out and check it out for yourself and form your own opinion.
Yeah.
I think that too much hangs on people wanting to find out someone else's opinion so they can decide whether or not they should bother to do something. And you can't trust that.
No, you can't trust it. You got to make your own decisions in life.
And especially since, there are a lot of people that are paid to give an opinion. And
we're not.
Yeah, we're not. Nobody pays me to talk. They probably wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to create a mistrust.
I don't know. They grease them palms pretty heavy. You might have to say what they want to say.
Oh, no. Oh, you sell out. What's wrong with you? Anyway, do go ahead and check it out. We think they did a great job with it.
Yeah.
We did like it. We would like to see them continue with that story. Pick up that storyline again and see where it goes. And
Patson, or whatever his name is.
And another point that I wanted to throw out real quick is that one of the concerns with a lot of people is I'm really sick and tired of yet another Batman origin story.
Now, this was not an origin story. And that's one thing I did like about it. They didn't retell the story from the beginning.
Yeah.
This Batman started years into him being Batman.
Everybody already knows who he is.
Yeah. And they said it already. Well, they said it in the movie. Some time has went by. He's already been the Batman. Everybody knows him. They haven't really accepted him, but they know who he is. The people on the street are terrified of him. The police, they don't really trust him. Commissioner...
Yeah, some do, some don't.
Gordon,
well, he wasn't a commissioner yet.
Okay, well, Gordon is the only one that knows him and really trusts him and trusts every word. He knows Gordon. He trusts Gordon. So it's not an origin story starting back to when his parents died and all of that. So that made it good also, because how many times do we need to hear about Batman and his parents dying and him trying to find out who it is?
Because that
he wasn't even doing that.
I can see where that gets tiring, because they've done it with Batman, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Superman has been retold a few times or reintroduced a few times, and and that's something that a lot of these companies do to keep the franchise alive, so they won't lose the rights to it.
But you can keep the franchise alive by telling a different story. Use the same characters and tell another story. And that's what they did here. They told a different story with Batman, and they used all the classic characters. They used Batman, they had Gordon, they had Alfred in there, the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, all of those people were there.
Even though the Penguin looks like Ed Asner from Mary Tyler Moore, but and then the Riddler looks like a hobo.
Yeah, that was a different Riddler from what they normally, and that was fine. They just changed them up. They changed up the characters some, but they made the characters interesting, and so. They showed and they proved to themselves and to others you can have a classic character and continue their story on. Because that's what they did. They continued the story. We didn't have to go back to the beginning, because I think if they had went back to the beginning, it would have flopped.
Yeah.
To me, I think it would have flopped. Because you're just tired of that.
Yeah. But I just wanted to throw that out, because I think that's a concern that a lot of people have. They think it's going to be like the Christian Bale Batman, where they're showing the first Christian Bale, where they're showing his training and all of this other stuff, and which they did a good job with him with Ra's al Ghul and all of that development. But it's still another origin story. Yeah,
and you're tired of that. We got the origin. Everybody knows it by heart. We just need to move on now, and that's what they did. And I hope that they continue with that.
All right, so yeah, check it out. Form your own opinion. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you knew, all that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos and see what we do here if you're new to the channel. And if that's it, then what more can I say but thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.